excited. All right. Let's go. Welcome again. We're going to introduce ourselves for a little bit, and then we're going to get Kevin introducing himself. He's going to talk about all of the awesome things that he's been doing for Slack. And we're going to talk through some of our favorite AI features and functionality. And then we're going to learn from Kevin. He's going to demo some things for us, and we're going to have some nice Q&A. If you feel that you want to, please chat us. We'll be chatting on the side, trying to answer some Q&A in there as well, so you don't have to wait till the end if you have a question. And then we'll throw in some fun questions along the way for you. All right, I'll go first. Nicole, KPA Slack community leader. I always love to throw up the peace symbols. I'm a very relaxed type of person, always a vibe. I am director of delivery management and operations over at SaltClick. We're a full Salesforce and Slack consultancy. And I'm going to popcorn it over to Allie.
Hey, I'm Allie Wagesbach. I'm the Slack leader for Lafayette, Louisiana. And also I'm a senior delivery manager at Kixo. I'll pass it to Megan.
Sure. Thanks, Allie. My name is Megan. I am the chapter leader for Cherry Hill, New Jersey. I am a product manager at Breezeway, and I will pass to Matt.
Yeah, nice to see everyone. My name is Matt Roy. I am the Slack community leader for the Philadelphia region or Philadelphia community. I run a business called 21B. We are a Slack-focused consulting partner. And yeah, back to you, Nicole.
Thank you. Yeah, any Slack needs, hit up Matt. Amazing stuff over there at 21B. All right, Kevin, it's your turn. Please tell us about yourself.
I've got a slide later. Maybe I'll save my official intro for when I, have to take the mic. But it's great to meet everyone. My name's Kevin Luptowski. I'm a solution engineer at Slack, as the title says. But really, what that means is I get to demo Slack and talk to customers and show them how great Slack is and tinker with all the cool new features that we've got. So I'm excited to show you a couple things today with the channel expert feature that just came out yesterday, and then some agent force in Slack. So excited to get to that part.
Awesome. All right. Flowing right in. Please talk to us about your favorite Slack AI feature.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think with Slack, there's probably this common misconception that to be caught up, you have to read every single message and kind of feel like you need to read everything to feel like, hey, I'm in the loop. And I'm here to tell you that's not the case. So my favorite AI feature is definitely channel recaps. You don't need to read it all, I promise. This is really a daily recap that you can set up for different channels with linked sources so that you can actually dive into, hey, this piece of information caught my attention. I can click and maybe go to that message specifically so that you're not spending those, kind of first 15, 20 minutes of your day every day kind of getting caught up to speed. So you can really keep tabs on channels that you're not necessarily involved in. Maybe these are projects you're overseeing, but not necessarily need to have a big eye on everything that's going on. So just some examples of what I use it for. For Net Promoter Score, at my company, we have a channel that just blasts every time we get a Net Promoter Score, which is great, but it's not something I necessarily need to oversee directly. So being able to have that daily recap of what came in is really important for me. Again, not scrolling through hundreds of messages I don't need to catch up on. Any projects I'm not overseeing, maybe I was tagged one time in a project. I kind of want to know what's going on, but I really don't need to be super involved. And then lastly, any informational alerting channels. This is really good. Again, not channels that you really need to be tuned in on. We don't want any system outage channels that you're not paying attention to. But anything informational that you can kind of hey, on a Friday, catch up really quick on what happened for the week is definitely something that I use channel recaps for. And on the next slide, it's very easy to set up. And if you're in the Slack community, shout out to our Slack community, you can test this out. So you can just select recap from that sidebar on the left and choose a few channels that you want to test this out in. And then it's going to run that AI recap, and it's going to link those sources like I mentioned. Depending on your screen size, it might be hard to see here, but you can see that kind of linked notation where you can click in if a message kind of catches your eye. Hey, I want to dive deeper into this. You can click into this, and then you'll be brought right to that message, which is really great. So that's definitely my favorite AI feature of the moment.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you. All right, grooving right along over to Allie. Talk to us about AI huddle notes.
Yeah, I love huddle notes. In the past, we use Zoom where I work. I have to switch to Zoom, start a Zoom meeting. People have 15 different bots joining, TLDV, Chorus, Firefly. There's sometimes more bots than there are people in calls. And I have to hunt down recordings of like what the calls were, hunt down notes, try to get access. Now it's really so much easier with huddle notes. I can delegate all the responsibility of taking notes to the Slack AI, and it puts it all into a canvas that everyone can see. So it uses that real-time conversations and messaging in the huddle thread to capture all of my key takeaways, all of my action items. It's all in canvas that, like I said, is just in the channel. So nobody has to like hunt anything down or search for things. And it's just really a game changer on all those internal calls where we really need to quickly align on something, but also just want a recording of what we talked about and a lot of notes for us to reference later. And then having all this data in Slack also just empowers people to find information quickly if they're joining a project a little bit later, and gives agents more data for even better insights. So I really love working with huddle notes.
Love it. I also, I don't know, I'm a little bit of a jokester, sometimes too much. But in the beginning of those meetings, when I see everybody's like note taker, I like to give them action items as like a little Easter egg, just so that they can look at those later. But again, I joke around too much. So I chose Slack workflows with AI. Slack workflows is probably one of my favorite functions inside of Slack because there's so much that you can do. And again, being a jokester at heart, there are now even more capabilities with Slack workflows, one of which, not AI, but the ability to start a workflow by listening to a message and having a specific action happen from a keyword in there. So if somebody says the word cat, then I can maybe send them a picture of a cat in that channel, right? So just a little Easter egg for you. But now you can create your workflow with AI. So you might not know how to actually build that workflow out, but you can just in natural language say, hey, I want to do this with my workflow. And Slack starts to build it for you. You can tweak it from there. But I think it's a great way for folks that are just starting to explore to actually leverage AI to get most of something built out for themselves, tweak the rest of what they need, and then just have that workflow set up fast. And I'm going to pass it over to Matt to talk to us about employee agents.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I chose this as my favorite Agentforce feature. Agentforce AI Slack related feature, because I am notoriously bad at updating my CRM. It is like one of those things that I personally don't like to do. I don't know why. I couldn't give you a great reason, but what I've found is that I can create agents in Agentforce that take my messages or updates that I post to the team, put them into Salesforce, and actually update my records for me. And so like that's why I chose this as my favorite feature. I think that like bringing Agentforce into channels and using it to actually make updates for me is so valuable because I'm constantly on the go. I'm at the airport right now. I travel pretty much, 30 weeks out of the year for work, and being able to easily update Salesforce without having to go into it, but also share information to my team. It's so often that I'll speak with a customer, something will happen, I'll post an update to my team, and instead of having to post an update to my team or tell someone on my team, oh, I'll get back to it, I'll update the CRM later, I can just post it in the channel, I tag the agent, and the agent does the work for me. And like it allows me to then focus on the important things that I need to focus on, like being present for calls or being in person for meetings. That is really the big part of it on a consistent basis. And it also increases our data hygiene, make sure that the information that's being put into our CRM is accurate, that we're not just, like having outdated data, because that is another big problem that we run into, is that things just get left on in outdated stages because myself or the team is not always in there. And so being able to do it all directly from Slack with the help of Agentforce has been really useful.
That's awesome. I love the way that you talk through that as a way to not only help yourself, because to be honest with you, it's really hard to navigate multiple systems and go update a thing when it's not like your true passion, right? I don't want to update the record. I want to go be with the people, right? I want to go do what I do best. But I think it's also the perfect lead in for Kevin and what he's going to talk to us about, especially with the new agent that's out. So, Kevin, I'm going to stop screen share and now fully turning this thing over to you.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, Nicole, I've got a different peer, a different cynical peer than the one I mentioned in the chat, who always likes to say it's called Salesforce because they have to force you to use it. So it always feels like it's relevant in this regard.
Sometimes it's true, you know?
Okay, so again, great to meet everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I've been excited about this all week, or all weeks that we've been planning through this, Nicole. But just a little bit about my background so you can understand the perspective that I bring to the table is that I spent about 4 years doing Salesforce consulting for a company that eventually got acquired by IBM. And that is when I became a Slack user for the first time. Let's call it about 8 or 9 years ago. And that's when my life changed. I'm like, I can't live without this thing, right? So I spent 3 years at Salesforce as a solution engineer, and then about 3.5 years in counting, doing in the same role at Slack. So love talking about Slack, love using Slack, love using it in my personal life. I spend a lot of my time, because of my background with Salesforce, at kind of the intersection of Slack and Salesforce. And I have a channel internally where I help produce clips of like how people can build and get hands on keyboard and do Salesforce configuration about the integrations with Slack and Salesforce, that I kind of is my main passion at work. Now, the photos made more sense that I picked over here when I heeded the request to join us. They said, we're looking for someone to join user groups from King of Prussia, Louisiana, London, and Jacksonville. And I said that this is my group. I love London. I've got a cousin who lives there. I went to school at Tulane. That's the photo on the right, in New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm a Jaguars fan, and so I have too many friends that are Philadelphia sports fans that they're not representing the photos here. Of course, everyone's Philly here, and that's the one picture I didn't have. But happy to be here and excited to talk through some stuff. So love the intro on the Slack AI pieces. I'd say AI huddle notes is my favorite feature that was called out there. And I just wanted to share, before we got into specifically Agentforce, that there is a variety of ways to solve AI in Slack and agents in Slack. We get caught up internally a lot about Agentforce, but I did just want to lend some airtime to the fact that, yep, Slack AI, which is search, summary, getting the most out of the way you're already using Slack. When we think of Agentforce, we think of that as being like business outcome oriented. It knows your CRM data and it can take action in Salesforce for you. And then first and third party agents, I always like to think of that as like, wherever your imagination takes you, you can build it. So we've got a number of partners that are building Slack first AI apps, and always encourage developers to build their own. So when we think about Agentforce specifically, there's also a spectrum of sophistication of use case. And what we've really leaned into with what I'll show in a minute, which is this channel expert, is wanting to make it easier to onboard using Agentforce, specifically Agentforce in Slack. And so the channel expert is an out of the box agent that you don't have to configure whatsoever to begin working for you. There's also, if you've gotten curious, or if you're a Salesforce admin on the call and you've gone into Agent Builder, there's a variety of Slack templates. They're Agentforce employee agents that have some Slack topics and Slack actions that they can take on your user's behalf. And so that's kind of like the halfway step. And then, of course, Agentforce, you can build your own topics. You can build your own actions of flows, Apex, prompt builders, whatever you need to suit your individual business needs. I'll cover a little bit on just the various surfaces with which you can interact with agents in Slack, but of course it's more fun to actually see product than to see slides, right? So let's jump in. I'll talk about Channel Expert first because this just fully released yesterday. And when I say fully released, I mean this is available to Slack customers that are on Business Plus and above, who are also Agentforce customers. And then I'll also just kind of get the fine print out of the way first, which is that contrary to other Agentforce agents, this one does not consume any sort of flex credits or a data cloud credits, whatever. So this is basically like free use in terms of being able to use an Agentforce agent. So the use case we're looking to solve here is that hopefully this is resonates with you as the audience of like, there are these channels that you've got in Slack, or they could be spread all across Slack of there's a lot of questions that go in there and a lot of repeat questions. Call it the FAQ channel. Internally, we've got what we call help sell channels, right? There's all these like help sell Sales Cloud, help sell Service Cloud, help sell Slack, right? All the places that you want to go to get information about anything you might need to ask about what do we actually sell here? What's the product? What does it do? Blah, blah, blah. And those questions get asked all the time. And it's such a burden on the experts to be paying attention and have to constantly go in and answer those questions. We hear all the time from our customers, can we not just have like something that can automatically answer those common questions? That's what this aims to solve. So I'm just going to show you how easy it is to add this to a channel, which is to go into your settings and to click this big setup button. All right. And what you can do, you've got two options off the bat. One is to just say, whatever's in this channel, all the messages that you see, all the files that have been added to it, go ahead and try to answer questions directly from what's in this channel already. Or you can narrow it down a little bit more. This takes out the messages part, but what this is like you're curating the exact content. Let's call it the PDFs, the canvases that you want to upload, the Slack lists that you want to tag and add to this. And you're just saying only answer from this as your source of knowledge. All right, so I'm just going to do that. I'm going to upload a few files here, and I think I've got, okay, let's see if I can do all of these at the same time. No, okay. All right, I'll just add one or two for the time being to just show you, and hopefully I can pick the right ones. All right. Oh, that's new. Source capacity. Okay. So I'll just add a few things. I'll add a canvas, Wheelo, Suite, Knowledge Hub. There we go. All right. So now the channel expert is going to be able to answer questions when it's tagged based on the information that's stored in these articles. The other thing that you can do, this is kind of a phase one MVP of this specific feature solution, if you will, which is saying, all right, what if it doesn't answer it correctly? Where can we give the like pitch this to a real human? How do I escalate this to a real human button? You can set up what channel you want to send those requests to. If someone is looking at the answer that channel expert gives and is like, this is not right, this is not sufficient, I actually want a second opinion, I want a human in the loop here, and you can set that up. So I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. And I say MVP because eventually what you'll be able to do is tie an entire Slack workflow to that, to where a button will come through with the answer. And if you want to create a Salesforce case, for example, if you want to send an API call to some external system, if you want to add a question to a list, if you want to update a canvas, whatever it is, you'll be able to do that from that button. Okay, so you can see the channel expert sources. This is a folder that gets created for you, and your channel managers can always maintain this source folder. So if they need to add new things, if they need to update the PDFs that are in here, they can always just go through here And they're the only ones who will be able to actually edit the files in that folder. All right. In
Hey,
the interest
Kevin.
of time, yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
quick question for you. Question in the chat. Do you know what the total size for the sources is, like in meg or gig? Or is it?
I don't know. That's a great question. I see that question. How much is source capacity and how can we check it? I have that just got added to the
Okay.
UI today. I've never
Yeah, like
seen
I
that
could see
before.
the slider where you can see okay, the percentages used up, but
Yeah. So I will. I'll get an answer there because that's an
okay,
interesting one.
awesome.
Thank you for the question. Yeah. Okay. All right. I won't change you. I'll just be the same user here. But the way this works is any question where channel expert is tagged, right? So channel expert, I'll jump into a different channel that I know has got like some random stuff here, right? So let's go into. Oh, that was. I will. I'll just ask you here. We'll just watch it. Channel expert. What are our competitive differentiators? All right, there's the channel expert fetching the answers, trying to look at the source data. Let's see what it comes up with. And I'll show you in a minute too, just a couple cuts of how to approach this in terms of like rolling this out internally, because one thing that is very valid feedback is that people don't want to have to train their users to tag the channel expert every single time. I'm going to blame my internet for why this is taking so long, by the way. They don't want to have to train their users to tag channel expert every single time. And so I'll show a different cut of this where we use a workflow to automatically tag the channel expert. And I don't know why it's taking so long. But maybe we'll give it another second or two, and then we'll move to workflow land. Okay. All right. It's lazy today.
Yeah, I am. I mean, I give demos a lot. I'm sure we all do, but I always like to say out loud, it's not a true demo unless one piece of it doesn't want to cooperate with you during it.
Yeah, this is just proof that it's a live product, right?
Yes. Yeah.
All right, let me go to the workflow thing. We'll see if that ever decides to pay attention. And maybe I've just totally messed up my demo work for whatever reason. All right, let's look at a couple ways that you can think about this in the workflow sense. So a lot of times we see customers who have these FAQ channels, these help channels where people are answering questions, but they want to have a more standardized input format for getting those questions in, right? So you might want to have a workflow that takes in the question. Maybe they have to qualify some of the things that they are, adding and amending to the question in terms of details that would help solve what the question is ultimately asking. So I'll just say like, what is WELO HIPAA compliant? And then just to prove that this is kind of like not just straight up like, I see a question, I answer a question. We can have a little fun with it, right? Where you can even tag like, I'm going to say a surfer dude with lots of cool emojis. Someone internally made a Guy Fieri one. It was like, always answer it in Guy Fieri tone and make it use a lot of food themed emojis, something like that. We'll see if this wants to answer. Maybe I've just completely wrecked my Salesforce. I might have disconnected actually. I think I might have done that. So oh, there we go. Okay, cool. Totally rad question about HIPAA. Here's the scoop. Okay, so there we go. There is the answer that came again from the source articles in my folder. And here's that Ask a Human button. Again, that MVP is just what it's going to do is send and forward my question over into a channel where those SMEs or those experts or whoever would be the escalation layer is hanging out, and they can go see it, which allows them to jump in and just address the question from there. So that is channel expert. The other thing that I like to do too, and if it wasn't super clear, by the way, that workflow, all the workflow is doing is just spitting the answer back in, but making sure it's tagging channel expert. So we're kind of doing that on the user's behalf. The other thing that I like to do, just one extra layer of that workflow is I've got this, I'm calling it the table of experts, right? So what is the style of question and where should you send it? And I've basically just got a workflow that would then, here's a different cut of that. If you wanted to think about how could I scale this to have like one entry point that goes to a lot of different channels instead of building 10 different channels, 10 different workflows for 10 different channels, right? So let's look at this I need help article, workflow article. And I'm going to maybe pick one of the 3 domains that I have a question with. I'm just going to pick this enterprise one again, and just we'll watch it, is Welo compliant, right? And because of the Slack list that I set up, we add an extra step to the workflow that then knows that this is the channel it's supposed to send something to. So just wanted to offer that as a different way of approaching like a multi-pronged expert distribution layer, right? Which is collect the info, select a list item. So whatever they needed help with, that's what you're going to look for in the list. And then because you know what channel is corresponding to that option from that list, that's where we're going to send the message to. And all we're doing is, again, sending a message to that channel, tagging channel expert. You can even send a message to the person who used it, just letting them know that it was sent into the right place. So yeah, that's hopefully that's just a few different ways to think about how you can employ the channel expert. And then the other thing, I'll just call out just a minor one, but you probably want to let your users know, right? Something like this, some sort of internal comms in the channel to basically let them know, hey, there's a channel expert here now. All you got to do is tag them and they'll start answering stuff. So think about too, coaching the users on how they know to be able to use this channel expert. So I'm going to pause because I know I'm kind of moving fast and I don't know how much time we have, but that's what I wanted to talk about with channel expert before I showed you a couple Agentforce things, but I'll see if there's any questions too.
No new questions yet. I really love the way that you navigated solutioning around accessing from one location to get to many different channel experts, because I'm sure we all know we're in like many different workspaces with many different channels. So being able to condense that into one location to ask a question by topic, I think is going to be really powerful. So thanks for walking through that.
Yeah. I'm glad you like that. The other counter that we get when we talk about channel expert, to be totally candid with you too, is why do I have to be an Agentforce user to use this? And this is probably like, this is very early stages, so I'm not the classic Salesforce forward-looking statement, but we are at least exploring ways to have this similar functionality, but native to Slack.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no timelines on that. There's no product announcement that I'm declaring right now, but it's a pain point that we understand, which is having to frequently answer the same questions in a channel, but also wanting that to be just kind of a native Slack thing. So that's something the product team's exploring.
Cool. We won't hold you to it, but I think I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think that would be very cool. And I'm sure we see it, right? We just wanted to live in Slack, like what we. There's a workshop where I built out bring your own LLM one, and it was nice because you didn't even have to like @mention. In there, but like having everything in there, right? I think would be really powerful. So +1 for that idea to the product team.
I'll send the React G feedback to them. Okay, let me tackle a few things Agentforce related, and then we can. I'm happy to just flex wherever we need. If we want to talk about building agents, we can. If we want to talk about how you get an Agentforce agent from Salesforce into Slack, I'm happy to do that. One thing that before I get into that, I do just want to quickly cover. So like we've talked about how you can mention an agent in a channel, and Matt talked about that being one of his favorite features as well. One of the things that one of the surfaces of interacting with agents is where did I have this in some sort of canvas? I'm just gonna have to pull up my canvas. One of the services is the ability to, oh my goodness, where are you? Sorry. It's in the other one. I've too many demo orgs. This is a problem that I have. Okay, the Welo Forward Conference. Okay, so this is a use case that was inspired actually by we did this internally for not Dreamforce, but an internal facing conference where all of the like what you need to know about the conference was driven off of a canvas, right? Like here's where you go to learn about what the conference is going to be explaining. And they tried to deflect as many questions about it by bringing support into like an agent essentially, and not just saying, hey, go ask the agent if you have a question, but this is what we would call a shareable prompt. Right? So any question that you ask an Agentforce agent right over in the library over here, and you can see here's some like, so I just asked it a question over here. And when you right click a question that you've sent to an Agentforce agent, there's this button, copy agent prompt link. Okay. And this is a great way of like teaching people how to fish, right? I think there's such a variable level of expertise in using agents. I'm not even talking about Slack. I'm not even talking about Agentforce, just like using AI and when to think would AI be a good use case for this? Right? And so this is a great way of saying, yeah, if you had a question about when the conference is, you don't need to ask that in a channel. You don't need to go DM someone and ask that. You can just click the button and immediately ask an agent that same question. So I really saw a lot of value in throwing not just one question, not just the instruction about, hey, go use an agent, but many different common questions into a section of a canvas to say, like, here's ways that you should be asking this, and here's questions that you might have that this agent will definitely be able to answer. So think about that too, as you start to build out these Agentforce agents, being able to share these within canvases, within messages, within channels, even within Slack lists, a little button to the prompt, right? So wherever you can paste something, you'll be able to paste a question or a prompt to an agent. All right, now I'm going over to this org because probably one of the most powerful use cases that is really resonating with our customers is, let's call it proactive Agentforce notifications. And these would be driven from a Salesforce flow, right? So when a record changes, send an Agentforce conversation to someone. And I'll just exemplify that with, let's look at, I'm going to pick this random opportunity, right? And I'm just going to change the stage on the opportunity, right? So mark as current stage. Is this the most valid use case of all time? I don't know. Oh, look at that. I had buried some sort of debugging thing to a friend here. Okay, cool. I'll go backwards a stage, all right? So we're going to change the stage, and what we get is a proactive Agentforce notification. Should be coming through any moment. Where are you? Where are you? This is what happens when I rely on. Man, it's not kind to me today, Nicole. You said one thing. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. I'm going to get a second one now.
This just up levels you within the realm of demo. So
they're sleeping today. Yeah, exactly. Okay, I'm going to wind up getting a second one that comes through. But here's what that looks like, right? Which is we've always had the ability to send a notification in Slack based on a record changing in Salesforce. But what makes this really powerful is the agent understanding the context of what record it started from. And then this not simply being a notification, but something that can be a continued conversation, right? So if I wanted to say, like, what are some suggestions for the next steps? Okay, and what this is going to do, and what I've programmed this agent to do, is go look at I've programmed it wrong is what I've programmed to do. What it should be doing is going and looking at the Slack channel, going and looking at the Salesforce record and trying to find, I probably got one over here. Yeah. Next has been successfully updated. Okay. And this is a totally different one, right? But what it should be finding is the ability to, here we go. Let's scroll up to one that just happened yesterday. See, I promise it was working yesterday. What do you recommend as the next steps? And so it's looking at the channel, it's looking at the Salesforce record, and then suggesting what some next steps should be within a 255 character limit, because that's the field, and we don't want to wind up trying to update a Salesforce field and then it not even being able to work. And then we tell it to update it, and then it goes and updates the next step, right? So again, it's not just, hey, this thing happened, cool. It's, hey, this thing happened. What do you want to ask about it? What do you want to learn next? What questions would you have? That open-ended but smart, intelligent teammate that can respond to something about what just occurred, and then it can even take action for you as well. I'm going to attempt the demo gods one more time with another use case that I love, which is, okay, if swarming is something that you're doing already in Salesforce, right? Where you've got this case, someone needs help solving it, instead of just changing a status and sending a chatter message, right? You spin up a Slack channel, and you have much more efficient, much faster, much more accurate and better resolution time and teamwork to get that answer about the case, right? So what we hear a lot is, great, it all happened in Slack. How do we take the learnings from that and get it back into Salesforce? So another way that we can think through this is, so one, sure, I could go in here and I could say, summarize, if I could spell, summarize this channel, right? Now I can send that off and it will summarize what's happening in the channel. This is relying on this Agentforce action to be able to search and summarize a Slack channel. So what we can do instead is, let's say if that was process-based and proactive, we could, when we change a case status to closed, the way that this demo has gone, this is probably going to fail, but what we can expect to happen is this will, again, look at that Slack channel and see all the conversation, summarize it in a format that we've specified within Agentforce to say, I want you to summarize it based on what the details were, who participated in. And then we're going to send that back to the case in Slack. And then we're also going to update the record in Salesforce to reflect what that summary was. Now we'll give it a second, because what's happening is a Salesforce flow is running. That flow is calling an agent, and then the agent is doing whatever it's doing and speaking back and communicating to the flow. So we'll give it a second and see if it just takes a minute to run. Either that or the demo gods are really just not with me today. Let's see if the case closed summary has come back yet. Nope, it has not. This is good. This is a good lesson in humility for me.
But I just have to say, though, you're pivoting gracefully through moments, and you're speaking to like what exists. So I'm still seeing the picture of it, even if the demo gods are just trying to crush it.
I appreciate that. Yeah. What should be happening is a great summary. And so we'll just ask the agent and see if it wants to do it more in the non-automated sense. And I love this use case, so I'm bummed that it's not working out for me right now. But again, we've got all of this information now. You could either because what some of our customers are doing with Slack AI, and this is great, is clicking the button to summarize the channel, which is great, and it gets you the summary that you very well could be looking for. But because that just exists in the side panel of a Slack conversation, what you're not getting out of that is any sort of, there we go. You're not getting any sort of writing back to Salesforce. You're not getting any sort of like sending it into a channel. Like if I'm just using Slack AI, I'm going to have to copy and paste whatever it gives me and drop that into a knowledge article or what have you, right? This is a lot more open-ended to say, okay, here was the title, the root cause. Here was all the things that happened in the channel. Here's who was involved. And so this is a format that, again, you've got configurability within Agentforce to say this is the format and the structure of what we expect a summary to be. And a lot of customers are saying, okay, how can we turn this into kind of like a root cause analysis or our knowledge article template, for example, and take the onus off of the individual users from having to do that and just having the agents do it instead. Now, as I've kind of shown, the agents can sometimes do what they want to do. But that's the goal, is right. Like let's make this easier for folks to be able to get that summary of what's happening in Slack and bring it back into Salesforce. That's really what I had to show you today. So I know we're kind of close to time, but I'm really happy to pivot in any direction and talk about build, answer any questions, or close out if we need to, Nicole.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for working and walking through so much. Again, I know the demo gods were not kind to you, but I think it was amazing to see Channel Expert, the way that you've solutioned through some of the proactive questions that we might get, and then walking through some use cases here. I don't have any questions. I'm just super excited to go play with a whole bunch of new stuff. I don't see anything in the chat yet. Matt, Allie, Megan, any questions?
No questions for me, but this was great. I'm also excited just to go start playing around and building some new things.
Good. Love the tinkerer's mindset.
Cool. All right. Thank you very much for your time. Thanks everybody for joining, and we'll see you real soon.
Thank you.
Bye.